This is all the things that I have done as an agent, as a team leader in the last 7 years. And I want to share it with you. So hopefully you can take some notes and start implementing in your businesses. Okay. So let's start. Here's the agenda for today. You guys can see this, by the way. I just want to make sure because I had a call before this, and they had a hard time seeing my screen. Okay, great. So 9 key steps in building a thriving open business. We're going to be focusing on these 9 steps. The first one is going to be how to pick the right house to hold an open house. Number 2, neighborhood exclusive versus traditional open house. And I'm going to dedicate, I'd say about 5 or 6 slides, maybe about half an hour, 40 minutes of my time in explaining the differences between the two. Number 3, preparation means opportunity. We got to be prepared for the open houses that we're going to be holding. Number 4, we got to do some sort of advertising as well as marketing when we're doing our open houses. I will talk to you about that in those slides. Number 6, you got to have a script. You got to also have objection handlers. And we'll talk about some of the most common objections that you're going to be getting when you're holding these open houses. Number 7, this can be really a game changer for you guys. And I'm going to show you the way how you can get up to 90 signups, 90% signups from the open house visitors. Okay, a lot of agents struggle with this part, right? A lot of agents, they get people in the door, but they just come short in terms of getting them to sign up or providing their information. Number 8 and number 9 is all about converting them at the higher level and have a follow-up sequence or follow-through sequence. We'll talk about that, okay? So let's start. I am not gonna talk about my quick story. You probably already saw this before. Not brokerage. We got this, we got that, okay. Okay, let's start with this. Why should we do more open houses? And this is going to be very interactive type of a meeting. Why are we doing open houses? It's in front of you guys. You can chime in.
It's more personal. You can actually get in front of the people and actually have a conversation instead of them hanging up on you.
Mm-hmm. You're absolutely right.
Yeah. It says little no expenses. I mean, it doesn't cost you anything to go into the house, have it open for a few hours and see if anybody comes through.
Right on. So for me, if let's say, for instance, I would start in real estate again, right? Or you just take me and send me to like a different city or a different state around the country and tell me like, hey, I want you to start your business again. The 2 things that I would do right away is I would get a listing, and then I would leverage that listing by holding multiple open houses a week. Right? How would I get a listing? I'll get a listing without even charging them a commission. Get a listing with the agreement, with the condition that you're going to be holding multiple open houses at that listing. That's it. Open houses is one of the best ways and probably the least expensive ways still at this moment to get in front of potential buyers and sellers, period. Face to face. I don't think there's a lead source out there, okay, where you can get in front of potential buyers and sellers every single day for little or no expense. That's the other way of putting it. Right? It's also a great way to find new business. It's a great way to find now business. And it's also a great way of finding a future business. You get more listings from holding open houses. I'll share with you how we do that. You can also enhance and continue to develop your geo-farming if you're going to be farming a neighborhood, okay? And also it gives you an opportunity to build and promote your personal and your business brand. With open houses, and I tell this to my agents all the time, by the way, and I tell these agents outside of my brokerage, If you have nothing else going on in afternoon times, hold open houses. Hold open houses. Simple. You want to get your business off the ground? Hold open houses. You want to get comfortable with the buyers and sellers? Hold open houses. You want to learn about the neighborhood, what sells, what doesn't sell, learn about what the buyers and sellers are looking for in a home? Hold open houses. That's it, right? And for me, just to kind of give you an idea, my first open house was almost kind of like a mistake, if you will. It was not, but I share with you what happened. So one of my first listings that I got in my first year was a listing right off 83rd Avenue in Camelback. It was a $100,000 house. It was an expired listing. My clients, who are still in contact with, they're really good friends of mine, Mike and Geraldine Saavedra. They were selling their house. They had it on the market with the previous agent, a friend. They didn't do a good job, didn't sell the house. I put it on the market and got it under contract in less than a week. Unfortunately, I didn't do any open houses, but more importantly, I didn't know anything about the open houses. I heard about them from other agents, and those agents were just telling me, you know what, you're going to be wasting your time with open houses. We're not selling homes nowadays with open houses. Everything's online. So here's what happened. During the inspection, the buyer's agent representing the buyers on my listing pulled up in a really nice car. I think it was like a Mercedes-Benz, either E-Class or S-Class, I don't remember. His name is Bill. And, you know, me being a brand new agent, been in business for a few months, you know, I started asking questions like, hey, you know, how's business? How do you get your business? How many homes are you going to sell? All of those things, right? And he started sharing his business with me. And one of the key things was the fact that he was holding open houses pretty much every single day. And this guy's probably in his late 50s, early 60s. And he said, Alan, if I don't have any showing appointments, if I don't have any listing appointments, I hold open houses. It's like, oh my gosh. I said, you probably have a lot of listings. It's like, no, most of those open houses are held on not on my listings, some other agents' listings. And he said, Alan, last year I sold 48 homes and most of them were from open houses. So I asked him, so what's your trick? He said, there's no trick. You just have to show up. Obviously, you got to build your skill. Okay. Obviously, you got to do your follow-up. And he shared with me how he follows up with the people, right, that he meets. But the trick is all about showing up and holding these open houses. His goal was to get one solid lead a week, not a month, not a day, a week. One solid lead a week. If he can get one solid lead a week and 4 solid leads a month, that's possibly 1, 2, 3 closings next month. That's not including his fear. That's not including any other source of business that he's generating. Okay? So when he explained this to me, it was so simple and it was so inspirational. Here you have a guy in his late 50s, early 60s. It's 110 degrees outside and he's holding 4 to 5 open houses a week. Holy shit. Like, wow. And look at me. And I'm sitting and waiting for some business to show up, aside from expireds and cancels. So that day, I started calling the agents in my brokerage and asking them if they have any houses that are available to hold. None of them had anything available. Great. So what I did, it didn't stop me. What I did is I reached out to an agent across the street from me. He had a listing. At that time, I was living up in Anthem Country Club. And I tell you the reason I'm saying Anthem Country Club. And this guy was from another brokerage. So I reached out to him and I said, hey, you know, I see that you have your listing for about 60 days now and it's vacant. I live in a neighborhood and I was just wondering if I can maybe hold an open house or two. And my thinking is like, this guy's going to say, hell no. He said, hell yes. knock yourself out. I then asked them if I can borrow his signs, open house signs, because I didn't have any. And he said, yeah, no problem, as long as you return them. Sure, not a problem. So I had 5 signs. I had a listing, a vacant listing across the street from me. And because I was living in Anthem Country Club, it's guarded. There's security guards. He told me to make sure I let the guards know that I'm holding an open house. So this way they can allow people inside of the gates and also give them a printout where the house is. I did all of those things, but on top of it, I bought 2 cups of coffee, half a dozen of donuts, and hand them to the security guards as well. So, hey guys, this is for you. You know, when you have somebody who is inquiring about this listing, this open house, please direct them my way. Great. So that day, I think I got about 4 or 5 groups of people that showed up. And one of these groups were buyers slash sellers, Doug and Sarah Dowd. So they walked into the house, and right away, they didn't really feel it. She didn't feel it. You know, she was very particular, very picky, very picky. But one thing that that agent that was representing a buyer on my listing taught me was the fact that in addition to the one that you are holding an open house at, the subject property, also make sure you print out a list of other active listings in MLS for that neighborhood. And also make sure you highlight the ones that are vacant. So that's exactly what I did. Not only I printed planos for the subject property that I'm holding in a house, open house on Wolf Run, but I also printed all active listings in MLS in that particular neighborhood. And then I highlighted the ones that were vacant. Okay, so why did I do that? Because I wanted to make sure that if for some reason they don't like my house, I have another house or 2 that I can show, and therefore continue building that rapport and making a connection with them, which I did. I showed them 2 additional homes. And during the touring, I was able to find out more about their situation. I was able to find out about their plans. So their plan is to sell their 2-story house in Arrowhead Ranch and buy a single level or a 1-story house with the views in the Northwest Valley or North Phoenix area. That was their plan. So I was able to find out that they wanted to list their house and they also wanted to buy their house. List the house and buy their new home. Great. I got their information, and I also was able to secure a listing appointment with them for, I think, either next day or 2 days later. I got the listing, and we listed that home for $375,000. I sold that listing in 1 day for $375,000. The buyer of that house, Brian Harrison, on the day of the closing, I get a call from his agent, and his agent lives in the East Valley. An agent tells me, Alan, I got a full-time job, and I cannot drive all the way to Northwest Valley to give him the keys. Can you do me a huge favor? I said, sure, what's up, man? Can you hand the keys to my client? He's gonna pick it up this afternoon. I said, not a problem, sure. So I meet his client at their new house, the one that we just sold for $375. And Brian asks me, he's like, hey, I see you doing a lot of business in Arrowhead. I see your signs everywhere. I was like, really? This is my first listing and I only have one sign. He's like, I live 2 blocks away and I want to list my house. Can you help me with that? I said, sure, but you have an agent. And he's like, yeah, but you know, that agent, he's in the East Valley. He's doing this part-time, and I want somebody who knows the area very well. I was like, oh shit, you know, now I'm an area expert. So I go to his house over the weekend, and I listed the house for $315, and I sold it a couple of weeks later for $310. So here's what's been happening since. And I'll show you this slide right here. So one open house and one client in the last 7 years generated for me personally $107,000 in gross commission income. One open house. It was not my listing. I did not even own any signs. Generated over $100,000 in gross commission income. How was I able to do it? Open house. Got a listing for $375. The same sellers, Sarah and Doug, they bought a house with me for $565. The buyer of this listing, Brian, saw his house for $310. I helped him to sell it. Then 3 years later, he sold the same house that he bought from me with me for $415,000. Then when he sold his house, he bought a new build for $424,000. And then Brian's brother-in-law sold and bought a house for $680,000. Now, going back to Sarah and Doug, they sold their rental for $340,000 with me. They referred a friend of theirs, and they bought a house for $275,000. And then their son bought a house for $320,000. And then Brian's brother-in-law parents purchased a house for $200,000. So one open house generated 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 transactions. You're feeling that, guys?
That's in a period of maybe 5 years?
Uh-huh. I'm sorry?
Did you hear me?
You had a question?
Oh, no, I was saying it was all in a period of 5 years since your open house that you generated $107,000.
I'm sorry, you're breaking up, Susan. Can you repeat that one more time?
I was saying that all of these, like, it happened in a period of 5 years.
Yes, that is correct. Yes, they all happen in a period of 5 years. Okay, and again, they're still clients of mine. I'm still communicating with all of them, right? So there's a chance there's more business going to be coming my way, but it all originated from one open house. You see? You know, and it's something that I want you to really, guys, understand, especially when there are going to be times when you're going to be holding open houses and there's not going to be that much action. There's not going to be that much activity, right? And we get disappointed, and sometimes we even get discouraged, and we say, oh, you know what? These open houses do not work. And they're not designed to work every single time. If it would be that easy, everybody would do it. Everybody would be killing with open houses.
So how do you know when it doesn't work?
How do you know when it doesn't work? And this is something that I will talk to you in the later slides. Obviously, when you are not getting any activity at all, that's number one, right? If you're not getting any activity in an open house and you do it over and over again and there's no activity, obviously you got to change the course. I think the second thing is when you're actually getting activity, but your pitch is off. You are not really doing a good job in presenting or asking them questions. or answering their questions or handling their objections, right? Another thing is the follow-up. There are agents that hold open houses, they get action, they get activity. However, their follow-up is, honestly speaking, is not really that great. It's not good at all. And because of that, those leads, potential leads, fall through the cracks and go with someone else. I had conversations with agents where they would have 5 or 6 signups, and then for some reason would wait 2 or 3 days to follow up with those leads. By that time, that lead, that buyer, that seller already moved on, right? So that's something that we're going to talk about in the later slides, okay? So how do we pick the right house? So for me, and this is the way I look at it, when I'm holding open houses, okay, first and foremost, I look at things like, is it a vacant home or it's owner occupied? I personally prefer, if I'm going to be doing traditional open houses, I prefer to go with a vacant home. It gives me more flexibility. It gives me an opportunity to lock the door and go and show another house or two in that neighborhood without really pissing anybody off. Okay? Now, from showability standpoint, from showing standpoint, obviously owner-occupied homes will be better. The house looks better when it's furnished, okay? But from flexibility and from the opportunity going out there and continuing to develop that relationship with the prospective buyer, vacant homes, hands down, is the best way to go about it, okay? The second thing, for me, it's important and should be for you as well, price point. Price point. And what I mean by that is you're spending the same amount of time and effort and resources, whether you're holding an open house, a $250,000 price point or $500,000 price point. Nothing really changes. What changes is the type of a buyer that you're attracting. The type of a buyer that you're attracting. If you're working with a $250,000 buyer, are there a lot of homes there? Are there a lot of homes currently available that $250,000 buyer are going to be able to go see, get a good deal on it, and will not spend a lot of time doing so?
No.
No. How about a $500,000 buyer?
Yeah.
Many more homes, correct? Now, with the $250,000 buyer, most likely he or she is going to be competing against cash investors, right? Most likely they're going to be FHA. Most likely they're going to probably rely on DPA, down payment assistance program, right? So there are going to be more challenges and more hurdles. And then, of course, most likely you got to be looking and looking and showing, and a lot of times getting outbid by other buyers. Whereas if you're in a $450,000, $500,000, or $600,000 range, there's more inventory. The buyers are a little bit more qualified. They're not going to be relying on down payment assistance program. Okay? And here's the kicker, guys. You make more money from the commission. There's a big difference between a $7,000 commission check and a $15,000 commission check. Would you agree with me on that?
Yeah.
Yeah? So think about it. Again, this is something that I want you to really ingrain in your brain, right? You're spending exactly the same amount of time. Your preparation is the same. The number of signs is the same. The marketing materials are the same. The learning, everything is the same. The only difference is going to be the price point and the type of a buyer. So for me, I was very tactical and very strategic with my open houses because at one point I had 14, 15, 16 listings, my own listings. And there were times where the sellers would say, hey, can you hold an open house for me? And it was a $200,000 listing. And I would have a seller that would ask me, can you hold an open house? And it's a $400,000 listing. I would always like to go with a $400,000 listing. Because I want to be working with the buyers that are looking to buy in that range. For me, it's more money involved. And less hassle on my end. Now, you may say, well, Alan, what if I don't find a listing in a $400,000 range? What do I do? Do they want a $200,000 or $250,000? You got to start somewhere, right? You got to start somewhere. You got to work somewhere. So you start with a listing, ideally with a vacant listing, okay? But you want to be striving, you want to be focusing on something more than a regular $250,000 or $200,000 house. Shoot for higher price points. Another thing that is important, and I think agents make a mistake, is choosing listings that do not have immediate access or tucked away all the way in the back of the subdivision or in the back of the neighborhoods with lots of turns. Make sure you choose a listing that doesn't have more than 4 to 5 turns. Also make sure that you don't have a listing that is gated or guarded. Okay? So ideally immediate access, no more than 4 to 5 turns, and ideally not gated. Any questions? No. Another key component is signage. You got to put out as many signs as possible. We give you that ability with our team. We have over 150 signs at our disposal. So the more the merrier, the way I see it. On average, our agents put out anywhere between 20 to 30 signs in their open houses. The more signs, the better it is. Okay? Look for a nice curb appeal. The last thing that you want is a house that has a really terrible curb appeal. Why? Because when people are going to start pulling up and they see that the paint is chipping, the grass is dead, the weeds are growing out from all parts of the property, right? Do you think they're going to go inside? Probably not. So the curb appeal is pretty important. Look for the listings that have nice updates inside. That's also very important. The last thing that you want is holding an open house with a listing that is really like bad inside. Looks bad, smells bad. That's not what you want. Why? Because when people are gonna walk in, they see it, they will not even spend 2 minutes in that house, they walk away. That means you're not gonna be able to develop any type of a rapport with them. Okay? Another thing that I would suggest is developing relationships with agents who list homes but don't hold open houses. It can be in our team, by the way. We have agents that have 2, 3, 4 listings, 5 listings. Some of them do not hold open houses on all of them. So develop those relationships with our team or with our brokerage. All right? Any questions about that slide? Okay, the next thing, you gotta plan ahead, guys. You gotta plan ahead. One of my pet peeves when it comes to the agents and holding open houses is they try to do it at the last minute. They line up an open house at the last minute. They print out planos. They get a couple of signs. They go and they hold an open house at the last minute. They do not do any type of research, any homework at all when it comes to the house, when it comes to the neighborhood, when it comes to marketing or any of that stuff, zero. And then they ask why I'm not getting anything, why I'm not getting any activity, why I'm not getting any traffic, why I'm not getting the leads, is because you're unprepared. So for instance, if you're gonna be holding open houses on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, start preparing for it on Sunday or Monday, the latest. If you're not familiar with the neighborhood, research the neighborhood. If you're not familiar with the listing, do your homework on the listing. That includes you physically previewing the listing yourself. You're calling the listing agent if it's not your listing. You get the details about the listing from the listing agent. You check out the pictures. You run the comps. Okay? You print out what has currently under contract, what has closed, what is temporarily off the market, and what's expired and canceled. You have all of that with you. You also highlight the ones that are vacant. You also want to make sure that you know what the average sold price is, average price per square foot, days on the market. All of those things are important. Why, you may ask? Well, because you want to be as confident and, more importantly, as prepared as possible for any question that may possibly arise during your open house. You may have a seller who starts asking you questions about the average price per square foot. You may have a buyer who will be asking, you know, are there any other houses in the neighborhood? You got to be prepared for it. It will take you some time, but it's better be too prepared than not be prepared and winging it. Don't forget, guys, you are, first and foremost, you are business owners. Your number one asset is you, your knowledge, your expertise. You're also a representation of my team and of our brokerage. And when you have people, especially the neighbors, we call them looky-loos, but they're not really looky-loos. When you have neighbors stopping at your open and asking questions, the reason they're doing that is because subconsciously or consciously, they are looking to hire an agent in the near future. They are interviewing you. So if you don't know anything about the house, if you don't know anything about the neighborhood, if you don't know the average price per square foot, the average days on the market, if you don't know any of that, how can you really apply for the job? Why would they hire you? They would not hire you. So when those agents talk about, well, you know, I didn't have a successful open house. I had several neighbors that showed up and they were looky-loo neighbors. For me, I think that's a missed opportunity. That's a missed opportunity.
So Alan, would you suggest like doing the open house at the same house? Like if you're gonna do it 3 days on the week, should you do it with that same house? So you don't have to like prepare 3 different ones. Cause I was thinking like, man, you can do an open house on like 3 different properties each day, but that just seems like too much work with all this. And this obviously makes sense, so.
Yeah, ideally you want to do the same open house over and over again.
Okay.
But if not, that's all right. You know, you can figure things out. That's why planning is so important, Alan. Planning is critical, right? Because if you're doing this at the last minute, are you going to really truly feel confident in your abilities to talk about the house or the neighborhood if you're doing this at the last minute? When is the last time you were able to sell something, a product or a service, or even yourself, when you are not confident or do not have enough knowledge?
Is weekends the best days to do open houses?
Doesn't matter. It doesn't really. Honestly, I done open houses on the weekdays and I had lots of success. I done them on the weekends, I had lots of success, and vice versa. It doesn't really matter. Don't focus too much on the days.
What
Okay.
about time?
Times on the weekdays, I would focus anytime after 1 o'clock, from 1 to 5, from 2 to 5, 2 to 6. But it also depends in what neighborhood you're holding an open house. If you're holding an open house in active adult community, retirement community, you probably want to do something sooner or earlier. Because don't forget, they start their day like super early, like 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning. They have their breakfast at 6. They have their lunch at 10:30, 11 o'clock, and they start a happy hour like at 2. And their dinner at 4, right?
It's so true.
That's so true. But it doesn't really matter the day. I don't get a lot of, I tell you, Fridays for me are not really great days. Fridays. I feel like Fridays are usually the days when people they just don't want to think about all these things. They just want to get home, go out, have some drinks, chill, escape from all the realities of the week, right? They don't want to be dealing with that stuff. So for me, what works great, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Saturday, Sunday, perfect days. And here's the hours, right? Like agents ask me, well, Alan, should I hold an open house for 2 hours or 3 hours or 4 hours or 5 hours, 6 hours? And my question is, if you have nothing else going on, in other words, you don't have any showings going on, you don't have any listing appointments going on, if your database is up to speed and everything like that, why not hold an open house for 5 or 6 or 7, 8 hours? Why not? Why not be there an entire day and treat that as your mobile office, right? So that's the way I see it. Any questions? All right, great. So let's talk about neighborhood exclusive versus traditional open house. So there's a difference. The neighborhood exclusive is great for your listings. Let's say, for instance, you are getting a new listing, and before it goes live, what you want to do is you want to promote this listing to the neighbors. And what you want to do is you want to invite neighbors to come your neighborhood exclusive open house. Okay? And we do this in our farm in Arrowhead Ranch as well as Arrowhead Lakes. And we've been doing it for about close to 2 years right now. And on average, we get anywhere between 20 to 30 groups that show up. And from those 20 to 30 people, we usually get about 5 to 10 seller leads. These are the people that live in the neighborhood. They have kind of idea when they want to move out of the neighborhood, or they want to move. So we usually get about 5 to 10 of them. We put them in our database. We send them educational content, valuable content, and that's how it works. Okay? The advantages of neighborhood exclusive open houses is as follows, right? So again, getting a lot of walk-ins from the neighbors. Out of those walk-ins, we get 5 to 10 seller leads. It gives us an opportunity to showcase our listing. Obviously, myself, me as a business, the brand, the team, if you have a team, and then all of the marketing efforts that we're putting together to the neighbors. It's ideal for a new or coming soon listing, something that the neighbors are not familiar with. Ideally, you want to have a listing that looks nice inside. All right, but it's not a must. All of the sign placement, all of the open house signs have to be done inside of the neighborhood versus outside of the neighborhood. Okay, that's important. We don't want to be getting outside traffic in the door. That's only for the neighbors. The key thing is we always do food and beverage. So we'll do like a wine and cheese menu. We also do a barbecue with Pete Castellucci, our agent. So we're inviting neighbors for a barbecue event, right? Food wise is great. The same goes with alcohol is great because it really kind of helps people to kind of relax, get their guard down. You know, food and drinks, you know, they can kind of linger around and stay in a house for an hour or two. And this is a great time for us to kind of develop that relationship with them, right? We do a really nice setup inside and out. A lot of times you probably would need help. You would need to partner up with a fellow agent or maybe with your lender or your title rep. It's very hard to do it on your own because you're going to be getting a lot of people in the door. Okay, and for us, the best times are usually going to be on Thursdays between 4 to 7 p.m. We tried on Friday, it didn't really work. Wednesdays and Tuesdays, not that much action. Thursdays are usually when we get a lot of activity. Okay. So this is kind of like a picture of our exclusive open house that we hold. So in this section right here, you're going to see like a spread that we put out. So we usually buy about 4 to 5 bottles of wine. They don't have to be anything expensive, like $7 to $8 each. We get this charcuterie platter, cold cuts and cheeses and everything like that from AJ's. They do one for, I think it's like $100-something. They do one. You know, it's very nice, really nicely done, very elegant. We get some little bottles of water, some crackers, some utensils, napkins, and that's pretty much it, right? But it's very upscale. It's very nice. The homeowners love it. You know, the neighbors, I mean, they enjoy it. They take advantage of it, right? Which is great. This is how we kind of do things to the house. We have a red carpet rollout that we use. We have a pull-up sign right here that's welcoming the neighbors. And then we have the open house signs pointing to the entrance. So again, it's very grand, different from a typical or traditional open house that we hold, okay? And again, the goal is for us to really showcase ourselves and the listing and get as many neighbors as possible to come and attend, all right?
The red carpet.
The what?
The red carpet.
The red carpet, yeah, the red carpet is, yeah. So that's that. And then this is the video. I think it's a video. Yeah, it is a video. About a year and a half ago, one open house helped us to list like 3 other homes on the same street in Arrowhead. I want you guys to check it out. Hopefully it's gonna play. So this is what we call the neighborhood domination. So one street, 4 listings. Check her out, guys. All right. Now, how are we able to get this listings? We got one first listing. We held in neighborhood exclusive open houses, and then we listed 3 other homes. Okay. And there are several other stories I can share very similar to this one. So how do we get traffic? So this is, again, applies to the neighborhood exclusive open houses that we hold. Okay, so ideally we start everything about 2 weeks prior to the open house, the neighborhood exclusive open house. The first step is we take professional pictures of the property. We take them as soon as possible. We order marketing collateral as soon as possible. Most of it is coming from the title company. We record invitation video. It's a selfie video. We can do it, or we can do it a little bit more elaborate. We start posting it on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, YouTube, 9 days before the neighborhood exclusive open house. We email our database 9 days and also 1 day before the open house. And then we also mail or drop off open house invitations on Monday, the week of the open house. We do that. We circle prospect the neighborhood via phone or door knocking, inviting the neighbors to come to the open house. Then on the day of the open house, we'll do the same thing, the immediate neighbors in the vicinity, like 20, 25, 30 homes. And we usually put out 20 to 40 open house signs inside of the neighborhood. As far as the marketing goes, this is what we use, open house invitations, that's print, seller guide and checklist, buyer guide and checklist, feedback sheets, super important, quality property flyers and pics, business cards, client testimonials, our swag, whatever, we gotta wear it, welcome, pull-up banner, and then red carpet, rollout, balloons, flags, and signs. So all of the stuff right here, we provide to you guys. We can offer it. Just ask the title company. Most of it is done by the title company. Okay? So just to kind of give you an idea, this is how our typical open house looks like. Okay? Again, we put our marketing collateral, open house, feedback sheets, pull-up banner, welcoming to the open house, right? So that's something that you guys definitely want to add as well when you're holding open houses. The last thing that you want is when people walk into your open house and it's empty. It only has planos and has your business cards. That's not the way we want to do things. You want to have a lot of marketing materials, and we provide those marketing materials to you guys. Okay? Any questions? No? Okay, great. So let's talk about the scripts now. Okay, the one script that we kind of use when it comes to open houses will be the LP Mama script. All right, LP Mama script is very similar to one that you guys study or use when you're calling online buyer leads. It's really a foundational script that can be applied for many different things. Online buyer leads, open houses, as well as signed calls. The most, who knows the difference between the difference between objection and the condition? It's right there in front of you guys. So an objection is a trust gap between you and the prospect. It needs to be satisfied or clear before they will commit to you. A condition is something that you or your prospect cannot control, change at this point. So give me an instance or two of the objection or a condition, and a condition.
Conditions if like they have bad credit at that point in time, or they can't qualify for a loan. Objection would just be like, why are you different than any other agent? Or why are you here? Like, what can you provide? So.
Right. A condition is something that you at this point cannot really fix or provide a solution for, or cannot control. All right, condition can be, look, my credit score right now is 450. Can you fix it? No. I mean, you can work at it. It will take probably months, maybe years, but you cannot do anything about it. Condition can be, hey, Johnny's gonna be retiring in about a year, and we're not gonna be able to do anything until he retires, right? A condition can be, hey, we are divorcing and we have to sell our house. right? That's a condition. Okay? Objection, on the other hand, can be, hey, I am just looking. Hey, I am just browsing. Hey, I have a realtor, right? An objection can be is like, hey, I'm looking at the specific neighborhood and I cannot find something that I like. Okay, that's an objection. Okay, so objection and condition is something that you guys got to be able to kind of figure out when you're talking to the buyers and sellers. Here are some of the instances of some most common objections and common conditions. Okay, just looking, I have an agent not ready to list, not ready to buy. Most common conditions: health, divorce, retirement, financial. Okay, you got to be able to differentiate between the two. Okay, so let's talk about, well, let's go back to the objections and conditions. So when you have somebody who comes into your open, they say, hey, I am just looking, what should be your response like? Come on, guys.
Something that you start more digging about it, like, oh, tell me more about it. So then, you know, they'll start telling you, oh, you know, we're looking to maybe here in 3 or 6 months to get a house in this area or that area. Then you start asking the rest, all the questions.
Yeah, she's right. Asking what they're looking for.
Yeah, so the biggest objection, or the two most common objections that you guys are going to be getting when you're holding open houses is going to be, I'm just looking and I have a realtor or I have an agent. Those two. Okay? And here's how you should react or respond to those objections, because they will be coming your way and you got to be prepared for them. Okay? Let's talk about just looking. Let's think about this. And Alan, maybe you can relate to me a little bit better. When you go to shop for clothes, you go to the store, and it takes you half an hour to get to the store, and you're there. Are you just looking, or you're really buying?
Yeah, I mean, you're in the market to buy. It's just a matter of finding the right thing. So when they say that they're just looking, it's a matter of like getting the right thing in front of them, and then they'd actually probably be more willing.
Right. Now, I asked the same question to Susan. When you go into the mall, are you looking to buy, or are you looking to look, or just browse?
Just browse, probably.
Susan.
Yeah, it does take time for women to find.
But aren't you there for a reason?
Yeah, yes.
At least most of the time you're there for a reason.
Yes, exactly.
It's like me, right? So I live in Peoria, and I like to shop in Old Town Scottsdale, or I like to shop in Biltmore. I see more options out there, right? So for me, it takes anywhere between 25 minutes to 30 minutes to get to Biltmore. It takes about 45 minutes to get to Old Town Scottsdale. And I get to the store, and the sales guy or gal, their first question is, how can I help you? And my first response is, I'm just looking. Even though I'm there for a reason. I was driving for 40 minutes to get to Old Town Scottsdale. I parked my car. It's 110 degrees outside. I go inside of the store, and I'm just saying to them, I'm just looking. But in reality, I'm there to shop. But I have this pre-existing condition, a little recorder in the back of my head that says, oh, I'm just looking. I'm just looking. I'm just looking. It's the same thing when they driving in 110 degree weather. They stop by your open house, they come inside of your open house, and they tell you, I'm just looking. They're not just looking, okay? They're there for a reason. So that's the first thing that you got to understand, that they're for a reason. Number two, how do we respond to them? So when they say, I'm just looking, Alan, what is your response?
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, what are you actually looking for? You know, just kind of like, hey, what interests you at least?
That's the way you can do it.
Mhm.
Their response is going to be, I'm just looking.
Oh, they continue to say that? Yeah, but if they say they continue to look, like, well, I don't know. How would I respond to that if they can set it again? Why?
So here's how I do it, okay? And I hope you do it the same way, you know, because it works for me. And I know it's going to work for you. Here's what I say. Say, hey, you know what? I completely understand. No big deal. I know there are a lot of folks out there looking right now. Let me show you around.
Okay, so just build up some rapport at least, and then be able to kind of, or,
And then once you start showing them around, you're like, hey, do you guys live in a neighborhood or you're shopping for your next home? Oh, we're shopping for our next home. Oh, okay. So you specifically looking in this neighborhood, or are you open to other neighborhoods? How long you been looking? Right? How long you been looking? Are you specifically looking in this neighborhood? What do you like about this neighborhood? Where do you guys currently live? And that's, you're doing all of that while you're showing them the house. Right?
yeah. Well, because you can use the house as like examples, like were you looking for like a 3-bedroom? Because this has like 3 hour, yeah.
Exactly. Exactly. So these are open-ended questions. So this way they start sharing what they're looking for, what their plans are, what their goals are, the things that are really on their mind. Okay? And the best way to go about it is ask about what they're looking for. Their house. Also, it's important for you to know the selling features of this house. And that's where you knowing about the neighborhood is so important. Right? Because you can now share your thoughts about the neighborhood, your thoughts about the house, what was done to the house in the last year or two that they not may be aware of. So again, they walk in, hey, I'm just looking. Great, you know what? I completely understand, no big deal. Let me show you around. Oh, by the way, it's your job to show them around because it's your open house, not theirs. They're just a visitor. You are the king or you are the queen of your domain. Not them, you. You got to have that mindset. And plus, you spend time in learning everything about the house, everything about the neighborhood, right? You can bring them value. Okay? Any questions about that? All right. The second objection, I have an agent. So how do we respond to that? What do we say? Here's what most of the agents do. They're like, oh, okay, well, let me know if you have any questions. And they go into their corner and start playing with their phone. Don't forget, guys, it's an objection. It may be a condition, but we got to find out, right?
Yeah, so start asking the questions. For example, that, oh, are you working with your agent, or, you know, did you do anything with your agent yet?
No, here's what I do. I make a joke out of it. And that's something that you definitely want to do as well.
Okay.
So, oh, that's great. There are 50,000 agents out there. What's your agent's name? That is freaking awesome. There are 50,000 agents out there. If you don't mind me asking you, what is your agent's name? Make a joke out of it. And here's what happens half of the time, more than half of the time. They're like, Bob.
Bob at Remax.
Yeah. So Bob, whatever, Bob, right? But here's what happens. Now you know that they're full of shit. And that's okay. So you know what? No big deal. You got an agent. Congrats. Let me show you around. Do you guys live in a neighborhood, or you're shopping for your next home? You see, guys?
So it's pretty much the same as handling the other objection, besides like maybe just a joke to kind of begin with, because you're still showing them, you're still building the rapport, you're still talking.
That's it, man. Yeah, man. I mean, that's it. And you're gonna have some assholes that that say, you know, like, you know, listen, don't help me, don't show me. I want to do this on my own, whatever it is, and just let them do their thing, you know. Right? But you know, it's your job because you're the one who's holding an open house. Think about it, guys. Again, you spend entire week getting ready. You woke up in the morning, you took a shower, hopefully. You got yourself prepared, okay? You took 20, 25, 30 signs. It's 110 degrees outside. You put out all of those signs. You set up the inside of the house. You're ready to rock it for the next 4, 5, 6 hours. And the last thing that you want to do is not be productive with the people that show up at your doorstep. Like, the last thing that you want is allowing these people to use that corny objection of I'm just looking, or I have an agent, and not you getting any type of piece of the action. Okay? This is your time to shine. This is your game day. This is how you're going to make money. Okay? They're coming to you for a reason. They want to see the house for a reason. Yes, maybe a lot of times they look at you as an obstacle, or they don't want you to be there, but who gives a shit? You're there to get the business. And your job is to get that business. Okay? Here's another question that you want to ask them is, hey, do you guys live in a neighborhood, or you're shopping for your next home? And why do we ask that question?
Well, to find out if they're serious.
We want to find out if they're a potential seller or they're a buyer.
Oh.
Because if they're living in a neighborhood, there's a good chance they have a house to sell, correct?
Yeah, if they decide to buy somewhere else. Yeah.
Yep. So you got to use a different approach, right? When you're talking to the seller. You want to find out more about their house now. You want to find out how long they've been in a neighborhood, how long they've been in a house, what they like about their house, what they like about neighborhood, what they don't like about neighborhood. And, you know, when are they planning to put it on the market? All of those things have to be asked during your touring of the house.
Scheduled to see it after the open house.
Yeah. If they're home buyers, if they're just shopping for the house, that means most likely they don't live in a neighborhood. That means you got to use an LP mama script, right? Yeah?
Yep.
Okay, so another question or another objection is going to be like, hey, I'm not ready to list, or I'm not ready to buy. And Alan, you and I, we had this conversation before, and I know Lily, we had that kind of conversation yesterday as well. And if Susan, you heard me this to say, ask that question, like, if I may ask, what has to happen between now and 6 months from now or a year from now in order for you guys to be ready? What has to happen? Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
So you have to be prepared to ask these questions and answer those questions. And that's where the preparation comes in. That's where the opportunity happens. You see, it's not just opening doors. It's not just putting out 10, 15 signs and holding an open house for an hour or 2 or 3. It's about treating this like one of your business pillars. And if you treat this like one of your business pillars, there's no reason why you cannot sell 1 to 2 houses a month from open houses alone. And if you are in a neighborhoods where the average price point is 300, which is right now in most of the neighborhoods, you're talking about a $9,000 commission check. You sell 2 houses a month, that's $18,000. Even after the splits, you're making a lot of money. You're making over $100,000 a year. That's not including you generating business from your sphere, from online buyer leads, expired cancels for sell by owners, or anything else that you want to do. Okay? So how do we now get these people that you are building a rapport with at the open house to actually give you their information? I think that's one of the biggest struggles that the agents have. So there are a lot of agents out there that have registration sheets, or they call them sign-up sheets. There's some agents I saw that in front entrance door, they have a sign that says the seller is requesting everybody to sign in before they can walk the house. I'm not a big a big supporter of that. I'm not a big proponent of that. I believe that you can get their information without mandating them or asking them up front to get their information or give their information. Here's how I do it and how my agents are doing it, okay? We have something called sign-up sheets. We have them printed in our office. In that sign-up sheet, and I'm gonna show you a copy of it right here. Tell me if you see it. Okay, what we ask them to do is give their feedback about the condition of the home. Okay, curb appeal, poor, fair, good, excellent. First impression of interior, poor, fair, good, and excellent. Backyard, price. Okay, then there's a section right here, you know, when they're planning to purchase their next home. 1 month, 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, 12 months. And then their name, their address, their email, their phone number. Okay, so take this, notate this, or make sure you memorize this process or step. This is not done in the beginning stages. This is done when you're actually walking them through the house. You're asking them questions. More importantly, you're building a rapport. You're building a rapport. And when you feel like they're really opening up to you, this is when you present them with this feedback form. And here's how you present it to them. Say, hey, guys, and I appreciate all the things that you guys are telling me. Can you do me a huge favor? As you can see, this house has been in the market for a couple of weeks or a couple of months, and the seller is kind of getting a little bit antsy. Definitely wants to hear from the buyers out there what they think about the house. If you don't mind, can you share with the seller what you guys think about the house? And you give them this feedback form. Okay? All this time, you have it with you, by the way. So when somebody walks in, you have it in your hand. And when they give you their names, you write down their names on top right here. And you have this with you with a pen. You use small clipboards where you can actually fit them there. So it's a little clipboard. You have a feedback sheet. And you're walking it with them and have it in your hand. So when you feel like there is a moment there where you feel like, you know what, their guard is down, they feel comfortable with me, that's when you say, hey guys, as you can see, the house has been on market for a couple of weeks or a couple of months, and the sellers are getting a little bit concerned about it. If you don't mind, quick favor, can you share your feedback with them? 90% of them, more than 90% of them will say, yeah, absolutely. Why? Because every freaking buyer out there wants to give his or her feedback or 2 cents. Every single one of them. And here's what they're gonna do. They're gonna put this section right here. They're usually gonna add or circle, you know, the time frame when they're gonna be buying or selling. You already have their name. All you have to do now is get their what? Email and phone number. Half of the time they will put their email and their phone number automatically. The other half of the time it's like, hey, you know, what's a good email address for you guys? Is it a Gmail or is it a Yahoo account? What is it? I want to send you my contact information. Or what's a good phone number for you guys? Is it a 623-602 number? So you're going to get a lot of people that are going to be putting their information in. Okay? Any questions? Yes, no? No questions? Okay, great. So let's talk about the open house lead conversion and follow-up system, okay? So this is the critical step right here. You will get people that will give you their information. I know if you follow the steps that I'm presenting to you, you will get people that will give them your information, give you their information. That's almost guaranteed. Okay? But here's what you do. What do you do with this information is super important. You got to act on it as soon as possible. So the first thing that you do is you add that information into your database. Sync. Right there on the spot. We all have phones and we all have Sync app in our phone. We can do that right away. If you got your laptop set up, you can add their information on a laptop using the hotspot. Okay? The second thing that you do is you create a search in the CRM and or MLS. And you email and text the selected listings. Again, on the spot, that day. After you have added them in the database, after you created and emailed them the home search, the properties, you record a short selfie video and thank them for stopping by at your open house. And it can be like this. Hey, Alan and Susan, it is Alan with Best Homes Real Estate. I just wanted to thank you for stopping by at my house at 1234 East Main Street. I very much enjoyed you and your family. You guys are definitely on the right path of finding your next home. I just emailed you the list of properties that I want you to take a look at. Please check your email, please check your text, and let me know if you want to see any of them in the coming days. Thank you so much and looking forward to earning your business. So it's a 20-second video. You text that video to them. Okay? You got that. Then about 60 minutes later or 30 minutes later, you call them to confirm A, they got your list, and B, you schedule an appointment to see those homes or do a buyer consultation or a CMA, whatever. Okay? So all of these steps, they have to be done in concert. They have to be done the same day. You cannot wait a day or two. I mean, think about it, right? When you're holding an open house and you have a motivated buyer, are you the only open house in that neighborhood? Maybe, but maybe not, right? But what about other neighborhoods in that area? So there's a chance they may get in front of maybe 2, 3, maybe possibly 4 agents on the same day. Is that possible? Right? So if you're going to be like any other agent, send them properties next day, send him a generic email next day, and maybe follow up next day. How are you different from 2 or 3 other agents? Because they're going to do exactly the same thing. Right? How fun? I mean, is there really that much fun for them to get a bunch of properties from MLS and an email with your picture on it? No, right? So we want to convert at the higher level by doing the steps to make sure that A, they get a video. That's very important. So this way they remember you. You also want to make sure that you mention the address. That's very important. And then you follow up with them and try to get them out there as soon as possible. Okay? Any questions about the slide? Okay. So the follow-up, this is something we covered before. Again, we treat our leads a little bit differently, right? Not every lead is created the same. We have A's, B's, and C's, hot, nurture, and watches. A leads are the ones that are ready to buy or sell immediately or within 30 days. B's are about 60 to 90 days, and C's are 90 days plus. Follow-up is very important, guys. A lot of times follow-up, it's not about our skills. It's about the barriers that we have mentally, whether we want to be following up or not, or do we feel like we are maybe acting too desperate, or maybe too much too pushy, or maybe intruding, or maybe stalking them, whatever it is. That's everything is right here. You got to follow up with people. You got to follow up. Yeah, go ahead.
I just want to add, it's true because sometimes you think that it's not. They really appreciate that you're following up with them and see how they're doing, even though like not asking about, oh, did you get it? Did you see the listing? Just to ask like, how's everything going? Just establishing that conversation. They do really appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. It's all about establishing and continuing to establish the rapport, right? Building that relationship, building that trust, okay? And then also bringing value, bringing something to the table, right? If it's something along the lines like, hey, I've been looking in this neighborhood and I cannot find something that I like. Well, think outside of the box. Go back and see if there are any listings that did not sell in the last year or two that went off the market, like expireds and cancels. Reach out to those homeowners and see if they're still looking to sell. Send letters to that neighborhood saying, hey, I got a buyer that is actively looking to move into this neighborhood. They want to close as soon as possible. Do you have any plans of selling your home? Door knock. Right? Offer solutions outside of traditional active MLS. All right? Any questions, guys? Okay, I will end with this slide right here, and this is something that I already shared with you guys before, but this is something I think is important to just reiterate and make sure that it's in front of you, because you are in this journey, and this journey is not easy. It's not perfect, and there are going to be days when you're going to be questioning things. You're going to be days when you're going to be feeling like it's nothing happening, and you're going to be discouraged and disappointed. It's part of the process. If this would be an easy business to be in, everybody would kill it. Everyone. But the fact of the matter is, and you know this, over 80% of the real estate agents do not renew their licenses after 2 years. Fact. The average production per agent nationally is about 3 to 4 deals. Fact. Most of the agents doing this part-time. Fact. There's nothing wrong with part-time, by the way. But you can still sell a lot of homes doing it part-time. Okay? But with every challenge or a new habit, okay, or a new discipline, you got to give it 90 days. So if you're going to take on the open house challenge, which I think you should, I encourage you to take this opportunity because, again, I do not see any other lead source where you can get in front of potential buyers and sellers face to face. I just don't, for little expense or not. You got to be able to have a discipline to start. You got to have a resiliency and patience to continue, even though there are going to be days when you're not going to have any activity. There are going to be days when you're going to miss out on the opportunity. There are going to be days when you're going to have a buyer that you spend an hour or 2 or 3 going to flake on you or ghost you. There are going to be days like that. That's part of running business. You know how many buyers and sellers ghosted me in my lifetime? Smart. That's why it's so important for you to have a big pipeline of other buyers, of other sellers. So you're not relying all of your livelihood, all of your financing on one person. The biggest issue that the agents have is they do not have enough leads in their pipeline. So they're relying on 1 or 2 leads, and when 1 or 2 of those leads do not come to fruition, they fall through escrow or whatever it is, they are devastated. And you have an opportunity to have a lot of leads. Just keep stacking them. And you will have situations where some of them are not going to work. And that's the reality. But you got to be patient to continue. Here's what a lot of agents do. They start with something, they try it for a week or 2, they start questioning the process. In about a month or so, they start getting discouraged. And in 2 months, they give up. Right? I want to show you this image right here. Tell me if you see it.
Does it say something? Go up a little bit. No.
It's like he's digging for diamonds, and then one guy stops when he's about a.
Oh yeah.
Yes, yeah.
Oh,
It's about the.
yeah.
Let me see if I can. Let me see if I can.
Share it.
If I
Yeah,
can.
it's just about stopping too early, you know, because you might be right there. You never know. But if you just quit at that point in time, if you don't do the full 90 days, obviously it's not going to come to fruition.
Yeah, I think I've seen it before.
Yeah.
I'm sure you guys seen it before. Okay, it's about a guy that is digging a tunnel for gold. Okay, and he's digging, and he gives up literally about 5 feet before he reaches gold. And that's really in a microcosm how a lot of folks or how people in general give up, right? They do it, and then until the last 5 feet, they give up. And one thing I ask you is, you got to give it 90 days, no matter what you try. At least 90 days. You're going to do open houses, do them for the next 90 days, get really, really, really good dialed in, really good at them. Okay? And then also, you got to feed off positive energy. You got to feed off positive environment. My job every day is to provide that as a team leader, right? So whether it's me, whether it's our staff, whether it's our fellow agents, be plugged in. Be present. Utilize us. All right? We're here for you. There's no such a thing as a dumb question, by the way. There's no such thing as stupid question. Ask, ask, ask. If you're not sure about, ask. Okay? So that's it for today. Any questions before we finish? No?
That's pretty good. So for listings, we have, obviously Sarah sends out the list, but then who do you recommend do you ever like My Home Group and contact some of those agents there, or who do you want us to contact for open house listings?
Well, the first resource is going to be us.
Yes.
Okay, obviously, and you know, we have a listing sheet or inventory sheet of our listings. Okay, so the first resource is going to be us. If for some reason we don't have a listing available right now, it's tough. We do have a bunch of listings right now, Alan. It's just not every, like most of them are owner occupied, and most of the homeowners are just not comfortable with open houses.
Yep. Yep.
You know, but that will change. In a couple of weeks, that will change. Already, I got a green light from my client in Arrowhead Lakes. So like, as long as everybody's wearing booties and masks and everything like that, we should be good. You know, so I need to figure that out. So it's going to start happening. Vacant homes, you can do vacant homes. It's completely up to you. You can reach out outside of the brokerage. That's fine. But it's going to be up to that agent, and more importantly, up to that brokerage to say yes or no.
Mm-hmm. Got it.
Tried that with other brokerage, and they told me no. So,
Yeah. But listen, it never hurts to ask.
yeah.
Remember going back to my beginnings, it was not my listing.
Mhm.
They were not my signs. And I was able to hold an open house, and I was able to get a really good lead that generated $100,000 in gross commission income.
Right.
So do not think like you cannot do it, just do it. And if it's not ideal listing, so what? So what? Do it. Because you never know. Think about it this way. If you're not holding an open house, there's a chance, and I'm sure you would agree with me on that, there's a chance that you missed out on that buyer or that seller. So I'd rather do open houses than not do them at all. Even if they're not perfect. Okay? All right, guys. Well, thank you so much. If you want a copy of this deck of this presentation, let me know. I'll share it with you. Okay? And I think the next step for you guys, all of you, is to shadow some of our experienced agents, the way they hold open houses, and then start doing them on your own.
Thanks, Alan. Yes, send us please the presentations.
You got it. I'll do that right now. And then, like I said again, you know, I'm here for you. Our staff is here for you. We're expecting big things from you. Alan knows what I'm expecting from Alan next 30 days. I'm expecting, and he's expecting the same thing. He told me that. He wants to get 2 deals under escrow. You know, and I know, Susan, you can get 2 deals under escrow in the next 30 days. Right? And I know Lily can get 1 deal in escrow in the next 30 days. The business out there, the people are there to buy and sell. You just got to get in front of them and bring value.
Mm-hmm.
All right?
Sounds good. Thank you, Alan.
All right. Well, listen, I appreciate you guys. You're an amazing group. I appreciate all the questions, your participation. I got big expectations out of you. I think in the next 6 to 12 months, you guys are going to be all top producing agents.
That's the goal.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Perfect.
Talk to you later. Bye.
Bye.